have some issues in the current life with my daughter. I haven't seen her for in about a year, and I had some questions about it. And I always had a feeling that there was something going on. And I had took my questions to that hypno session, that pregnancy session. And we went to a life where I was this little girl, and I had a father. My mother had died, and my father was grieving the death of his wife. She was sick and she died. And at a party, he met another woman. And that other woman had a daughter, same age as I did. I was. And it's like a kind of Cinderella story. And they fell in love. My father fell in love with this woman. And she seemed super nice when he was around. But when he wasn't around, she behaved like the angry stepmother. Also with her daughter, she was always picking on me. She was doing stuff and then blaming me that I did it, breaking things, or didn't clean up anything, or you can figure out something. But they fell in love and they wanted to get married. So there was a party and they got married, and they came to live with us. My father had a newspaper printing office. Yeah, that's the right word. And she was fond of my father because he had the money, and she thought she had married a rich guy and she could live in a big house and she would have it all. So they came after the marriage to live with us in the big house. And my father, of course, had to work during the day. So he went off in the morning, and I was alone with this woman and her daughter. And she wanted me to call her mommy. That didn't feel right. And my stepsister. And every time when my father was there, they acted so very nice. And my father didn't believe me when I told him that they wanted me to work and to clean the house and to do all the dirty things. And they just sat around in the living room, doing their nails, having nice clothes, go to parties. And he didn't believe me. And at some point, that woman, that new wife of my father, decided that she wanted the house, but she didn't want my father. And at one point, she started to poison him. She did something like rat poison in his tea or in his drink and in his food. And he got sick, and he got more sick. And eventually he was getting so sick that he couldn't get out of bed anymore. And she had to feed him, give him something to drink. And I knew that there was something wrong. And I was trying to tell him, but he didn't listen to me. So I didn't felt seen. I didn't felt heard. They accused me of lying, and that did something with me. And I can relate that feeling in the current life. So there were similarities that I could see. And this same stepsister, I looked her in the eyes, and that's where I saw the same energy as my daughter. So that was a hard thing to do. After that, my father got so sick, he couldn't get any better, and he died eventually. There was this funeral, and she thought she could take over it all, but I wasn't intended to stay there anymore. I wanted to leave. So I packed my things, and it was nothing, and I left the house, and I had to be on my own and take care of my own, see if I could find any work somewhere, because I needed money for food and shelter. And there was this house with a family with 2 kids, and they took me in, and I could take care of those children. And taking care of those children and the love they had in that family, that struck me, that kind of love that I never felt, being seen, being part of the family. Although I'm a servant and say a nanny to the kids, I saw them grow up, and I stayed there till I got very old. My best friend was the gardener. And when the parents died, the children were had been, how do you say, they got a house. And but they didn't want to live in it anymore. They grow up and they had their own family. They got married, have kids, and they left the house. And it was for sale. And until the house had been sold, me and the gardener were allowed to stay there for as long as we wanted. And then comes the time that it's for your own, for yourself to leave this life. You grow old, and I eventually got in the hospital. I was old. I couldn't do anymore, and life was over. And at my bedside, there were the kids that I took care of. And I get emotional again. And my best friend, the gardener, he was holding my hand, and the kids were there. And I had to leave that life, but I didn't want to go. It was awesome. The love that I felt, you really feel it when you have a session. You experience it. You see the pictures. You feel the energy and the emotions. It's all there. It's great.